Good day to my Coincall fam. How is everyone doing? Today is December 12th, 2024, and I'll be going through another crypto market update. I'm going to start off with just some macro data first, and it's not going to be on my screen, but I think this macro data is quite important for how the end of the year will unfold, and I am leaning on a Santa rally that everyone's talking about actually happening. So first of all, this week we had some important macro data, and that was the CPI data in the United States. We came in line with expectations. This is quite important because a lot of people are still afraid about inflation existing, which would basically make it hard for the U.S. Federal Reserve to cut interest rates further, which basically cheapens up the cost of borrowing money. Technically, that actually makes more inflation. But because the CPI came in line, now on December 18th, which is next week, we can expect the Fed to cut, 25 basis points. And the market should view this as a bullish thing because we are getting increasingly looser financial conditions as the economy slows down or the growth rates slow down, unemployment still strong in the United States, but the Fed is forecasting that there might be some weakness, which is why they want to stimulate the economy and help the economy by lowering interest rates some more. So this will be a very, I think we're entering a very positive next few weeks, especially looking forward with the cut. Um, so my directional bias is bullish, but let's just go through some technicals here. So Bitcoin has been, let's look at the daily, has been respecting an uptrend really since after the election was when the gun fired off or all systems go. And I have various horizontal lines here. Forgive me, it's a little bit busy. But one thing I noticed is, and myself included, was I was really looking for a sweep of this liquidity zone right here, and really a breakdown uh, to 90 or even 88K. Didn't quite get that. And I watched this very closely, especially in this zone right here around 94.5K. It seems that this area is very, very important and it's been defended many, many times. It's so important that I'm gonna highlight it. I think this is your risk on or risk off line at this point in time. So if you're worried that, this is the Bitcoin top and there's a lot of people calling tops, usually when there's a lot of people calling tops, it's typically not the top. Tops usually form from a sentimental perspective when absolutely nobody is calling the top. So that's one piece of information. From a technical perspective, 94K is extraordinarily, can't talk, extraordinarily important. Okay. We did see, this wick below, and then we had another liquidation event. As you guys know, you don't need me to talk about it. It just happened. Two liquidation events, fairly short order in between them, meaning quite rapidly. First was Bitcoin, and then we had the altcoin market. We will talk about the altcoin market, but first, let's pay our respects to Daddy Bitcoin first, because he is the king. So I do lean bullish right now. We do have some supply to eat through here in the 102 K zone. But after that, I am leaning on expansion to somewhere between 110. I have a sell before January 13th. I'll go through that in a moment. I have a target of 110 to 120. Um, these are the two next round numbers, and you can front run that by either selling at 108 or 118, take some chips off at 110 and take some chips off at 118, something like that. You're never going to be perfect with selling the top. If you find someone that is perfect or claims that he or she is perfect, do let me know. I've been doing this for a long time. I've yet to find someone who's absolutely perfect at selling tops. But this is the zone that I'm looking at, this next expansion, and I think it happens sometime before now and January 13th. Okay, so that is my directional bias, and if you are interested, you can probably play some long call spreads. I wouldn't open up naked long calls here because that was more something to do at the 94K or 95K region. Now we've moved up $6,000 on Bitcoin, a little bit less RR here. But I think call spreads on Coincall, if you're into that, does make sense here. If you're very risky, you can choose the 110K strike. It's a 10% move for expiration in January. Most likely, if you're really risky, you would do expiration by end of the year. I'm a little less risk on these days. I think maybe as I get older, the weekly options are just not part of my style. But I do occasionally do very, very high risk convex bets. So if you are that type of person, you would be betting on end of year 110K Bitcoin. And I do think that's very possible. I just personally want more time these days, and I'm willing to pay for the theta. of having more time and basically more time to manage the position if I'm wrong. But I am leaning bullish here. We still see a Coinbase premium. So this is the Coinbase premium. It did fall a little bit as Saylor has completed his purchase recently. So we are currently at like a $40 premium to Binance right now, which is good. We do want to see a sustained premium to give us more confidence in an uptrend. And we do have this general kind of like 45-degree sloping, more or less, um, meme line that to guide us. And without the gain, if you're going to have massive gains, you're going to have some liquidation events as well, and that's kind of what we had. So in my opinion, we had those liquidation events are quite positive for continuation, and this liquidation event was an opportunity to bid. Hopefully you bid that. I don't have any indicators right now. In fact, actually, after this week, we have more positive. We have more reason to be positive than to be negative right now going into the end of the year. I don't think it's just going to be a $10,000 candle going into the new year. I just want to make that clear. It's going to be, you know, it's going to be more or less similar to what happened in November. It's going to be like this. Maybe we have some of this spike up action, consolidation, and then a big move up, and then we'll talk about higher prices if and when we get there. That is my expectation going into the end of the year. Um, Now, why sell before January 13th? So I view the inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump to be a potential sell the news event for a lot of people who are just buying Bitcoin for the trade. They're not believers in the long-term vision. They simply view this as a momentum trade. And once Donald Trump is confirmed as the U.S. president, technically the trade is over for them, right? They no longer because who knows whether or not Donald Trump is able to do the things he's mentioned about crypto. We don't know that. So those market participants are fast money, and that fast money will peel off around January 26th. So as retail traders, our goal is to ideally get in front of that or not be there when that happens. Now that is speculation on my end. I'm not 100% sure that this is going to happen. Um, it could very well not happen at all. But if you are in derivative positions, I think the first 2 weeks of January is, depending where we are in the market, will be the window of opportunity where we are able to get out in anticipation of this event. Now, I'm not saying go out and sell all of your Bitcoin. If you have 3 Bitcoin, 1 Bitcoin, zero point 0.5 Bitcoin, zero point 0.2 Bitcoin, I'm not saying sell 100% of it. I'm just saying, if you have derivative positions open, now would be the time. That would be the time for me personally to start, peeling off some of that positioning. Um, and I've listed my reasons, for why I think doing that might be prudent. Okay. Um, so yeah, that's how I'm going to be playing this into kind of like mid-January. Hopefully, I'll provide another update early January. I'm not sure if I'll do a year-end update. Depends on where the market is. But yeah, that's Bitcoin. Now let's get into altcoins, shall we? I have a sneaking suspicion that this altcoin season is well underway now. It's not the exact altcoin season that we are all accustomed to, but there has been some animal spirits released into this market because the new administration in the United States has turned positive towards crypto. So this naturally has shifted people down the risk curve into the altcoin market. We've had 4 weeks where about $1 trillion was, I think it's 1 trillion. Let me just double check. $1 trillion was added. This is not the right chart, excuse me. Sorry, I think the entire crypto market added 1 trillion and not the altcoin. I think I mixed that number up. So this is the election. It's $1.5 trillion added over the last 4 weeks, okay, in November. And gotta say, I think, the US election did kind of just start that rally, especially with the pro-crypto um, president. Now look at the altcoin market. So this is the total three minus USDT because I don't want the stable coins there. The altcoin market rose by almost $600 billion. We took a nasty wipe. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you about what happened. There was 30%, 40% drops that happened within 1 hour. And then we took this $200 billion nosedive, and now we've kind of recovered. And I think this trend is actually set to continue here. I don't think this is going to just roll over and we start going back down to 400 billion. I think maybe there's some consolidation, but this is in general, I think this is basically preparing for its next leg up. Uh, and how high we go is up to speculation because at this point, we basically are just mere like centimeters away from the prior all-time high in 2021. And then after that, it's just about expansion and price discovery and speculation. So leaning very positively on the altcoin market, I think any dips are safe for buying for now into the end of the year, potentially first 2 weeks of January. Now you might be asking which ones am I looking at? So a lot of people, Ethereum is the largest altcoin. That might not excite you. I do think Ethereum performs positively over the next several weeks, potentially into January. Remember, around January is when I get cautious. Um, but Doge is, I think, a safe name to mention here that I think could potentially do a 2x from just 40 cents. Obviously, your risk reward. I did actually buy some spots and some options on Doge on this dip for um, for quite out of the money. It's a little bit more on the degen side. But if you take a look at Doge, Doge is one of those. Excuse me one second, I have a phone call. Alrighty. Never had a phone call interrupt a stream before, so there's a first for everything, I suppose. So I'm looking at the weekly, and maybe it's better to look at a longer um, price chart here with Binance. And I'm looking at this as the all-time high for Doge at 74 cents on Binance. And, we hit, 48 cents, and we had this level of 35 cents, I think more or less 36, be defended during the liquidation event. I think that's a very important um, thing to note there, and that is basically the line in the sand. That would be the invalidation. Falling back below 36 cents here would, for me, would mean that this momentum might need some more time to cool off. But for now, I lean on the side that we do have a lot of momentum in the crypto market. So at least a play to the prior all-time high is what I'm looking for, which is approximately a 80% move to the upside. And I think this can materialize sometime between now and the inauguration of Donald Trump as the president in the United States. So more or less over a 4-week period, I think we should see a move. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be a 1-day candle that goes to the all-time high and potentially beyond. This is my base case, right? The base case is that at least we return to the all-time high by the inauguration, the third week of January, which is about, give or take 4 to 6 weeks from now. Um, and again, it's not going to be a straight line up. There will be ups and downs, consolidations. But I think this move here gave anyone on the sidelines an entry to play for that upside. Okay, so I do like Doge for that reason. It is one of the strongest coins and strongest performers. Um, and it's just a household name for large players to play any momentum moves. Um, the other altcoin that I like, it's very controversial. Actually, I have a couple controversial coins, so let me just go through that. So XRP is quite controversial. Not that many crypto native folks like XRP, and I actually think that's a bullish thing. But a lot of the normies or your regular friends that are not checking crypto every single day, they love XRP, and it is by far the most parabolic chart that we have in crypto. It's very hard to argue against this trend. It was the best performing altcoin. That's well known. It's not going to count for all the meme coins, but it effectively did a 5x from um, the November 5th lows here. Uh, Now I don't know where this tops, but the momentum here suggests to me that there is at least 1 to 3 more legs up on this thing. I am looking for, round number targets. I think $3 to $4 is an interesting, place to. I mean, because there's no way, no one can really tell you 100% that where XRP is going. But I like to use round number theory. So somewhere between $3 to $4, it's going to land, in my opinion, on this next wave up. And I think that would be a good idea to probably realize some profits there if you're in derivative positions or if you're in spot positions lower. I personally did buy this dip to the $2 range on spot, but I did not put on any options positions. I kind of regret it. I still think there is time to put on an options position for this calls to the upside to, like I said, $3 to $4. And if we get above there, in bull mania, who knows? Um, I don't know if anyone is going to be interested in buying the $5 strike, but that would be maximum degen, but also maximum reward if that's something that is, a flavor of risk that you're willing to take. The other kind of controversial coin is WorldCoin. Some people see this as like a Sam Altman OpenAI bet. It does have crazy moves. It's kind of like this AI coin that people sort of forgot about. They think that the tokenomics are horrible, so there's inflation. I get that, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I like it because it's so hated. Not that many people are talking about it, um, but it does have opportunity to run, perhaps to $10. I know the market cap and I know the FDV is. I think it's already above its all-time high FDV, even though it's like down um, 70% or so from its all-time high. But in crypto, crazy things happen, and like I said, this is a controversial bet. Um, I don't have the likelihood outcomes of it playing out, but it is one of those bets that I've made on a spot position on this drop to potentially run while the entire market tries to short it. Right, it's a very shortable coin. People do not like WorldCoin at all. Um, and then there's TIA, which is a kind of like this L1 play, and then your Solanas. So there's obviously a lot more altcoins. I don't know if I'm going to go through the full laundry list. I think Solana is a very household safe liquid name for people to bet on continued upside. Now, how much more upside there is, um, I always thought that Solana could tag $400 this cycle. So it's a little bit less than a 2x from here, from this point, which I think is nice for a lot of people and maybe not not nice. Some people come to crypto and say only 2x. How can I survive with only 2x? This is impossible. But 2x might be appealing to some investors. I'm not sure what time frame, but over the course of this bull run, I do think Solana can tag $400, whether it's within the next 4 weeks or another leg up, kind of going into February or March of next year. Uh, but hard to turn fully bearish on the entire market, and I am leaning for a Santa rally. I just don't think it's going to be straight up. There's going to be twists and turns and consolidations, but I do think that this liquidation event was an opportunity to bid. Um, and yeah, I think for now, stay the course, remain bullish. We just got some headline risk out of the way with CPI, which should pave the way for a rate cut December 18th. And that should provide liftoff, if not now, pricing in the rate cut, really starting next week, December 18th. I think after that kind of speed bump, we should be good to rally, you know, for the weeks after that, and even potentially, into December 31st, the very final day of the year. So, stay positive, but obviously be careful of liquidation events like the ones we just had, which wiped away a lot of, I think it was like 1.4, $1.5 billion of altcoin open interest wiped away. Be vigilant about that with funding rates. Pick your spots, but definitely, there's a lot of skepticism about this rally. Some people even calling the top, but in my opinion, I don't quite see it yet. And maybe I'll change my mind if we really materially break down from 94,000 with no signs of recovery or no signs of demand. So that is my personal line in the sand for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's our North Star for all the altcoins. So do keep an eye out for that $94,000 level. And hopefully, the next video update I provide, we are well underway with the Santa Claus rally, and we'll provide another market update when that time comes. So thanks everyone for tuning in. We might do a Twitter Spaces, so please turn on notifications on for our Twitter in case we do Twitter Spaces in the coming weeks before the end of the year. Thanks everyone for watching. Cheers and take care.